You know, when Paul is talking about reaching the city, he's not talking about reaching New York City or London or Sydney. He's talking about reaching what we would consider to be small communities, not much bigger than your average neighbourhood. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Paul is a tent maker in Corinth. I mean, he knows a whole lot of people that he's intersecting with and interacting with, and he's writing into a church context where he's assuming that these people are in the marketplace, that they're artisans and merchants and workers, that they're shopping and eating, and lives are intersecting and crossing at multiple different ways, even probably much more than your typical neighbourhood would be in the United States here. And so in that regard, yeah, I think so much of what Paul has to say about engaging, going out, resisting and connecting with communities, all in the context of a fairly well-defined, smallish community in which people know about each other. I mean, when Paul writes to a church and asks two women to stop fighting with each other because this would be, a bad impression on the city, why? I mean, we know churches where ladies can fight with each other and no one will be the end of the wiser. But he's assuming the city will know about this because your friends aren't just church people. You're connected to most of the neighbourhood around. I mean, probably the best way to view this is like go to the Middle East or Southeast Asia and go to a small village and shop in the marketplace and hang out with people. You'll just see lives intersecting at kind of multiple levels. Now that's both good for building relationship, but it's also bad in a sense, if I can put it that way, that like the church can't hide its foibles and its mistakes and its conflicts. Again, to go back to Paul, not just with respect to a couple of women fighting in a church, but Paul's constant references to all of his churches, I think, about maintaining unity as the kind of the primary witness of the gospel. For him, it's like the negative side of this kind of naked church experience where all is seen and everyone knows about everything, is that it cuts the other way. Not just people see the good stuff, they see the bad stuff, which I think then just increases the call on kind of holiness and righteousness. I think that in isolation, when preachers call for their churches to be righteous or holy, but it's not visible to the neighbourhood, it can end up being this kind of pietistic self-righteousness, trying to please God with my holiness. But I think the way Paul writes to the churches, he's actually speaking about it, not in that sense, like please God by your holiness. He's saying, no, people can see the way you live. Like this is a missional activity for you to resolve conflict, or for you to be generous, or for you to feed the hungry within your congregation as well as beyond. So in that regard, it's a naked church experience that kind of goes both ways, and I think increases the call for holiness, but not pietistic kind of that self-righteous, sanctimonious pietism that unfortunately invades a lot of American church experience. But it's a form of missional holiness. It's about come and see how we love each other. Look, taste, experience this. So in the context of a city as Paul understood it to be, it just increases the witness of the gospel, or does enormous damage to the witness of the gospel when we don't get it right.